A healthy flower can be the wrong thing to keep. That sounds ridiculous when your pepper or eggplant is already barely fruiting, but late-season pruning is a timing problem before it is a cutting problem. Keep the wrong growth too long, and you may spend the last part of the season feeding growth that never has time to pay you back. Cut too aggressively, and you can slow the plant you were trying to help. So these are 10 specific cuts with clear boundaries, not another vague prune for more fruit rule. The strangest one comes near the end. Healthy flowers come off. Not because flowers are bad, because sometimes the calendar changes what is worth keeping. That is the cut I want you watching for. Number 1. The nursery nip, the cut almost everyone skips. The first cut on a pepper or eggplant happens before the plant is even a foot tall. Most people never make it at all. If your pepper seedling is over 8 inches tall and you have not touched it yet, you already missed the easiest cut on this list. Here's the cut most pruning guides skip entirely. Everyone tells you to leave a young plant alone. Let it grow, do not touch it. That advice works against you with 2 groups: small fruited peppers and eggplant. Jalapeno, habanero, Thai hot, shishito. Pinch the growing tip once the plant hits 6 to 8 inches. Eggplant gets the same treatment when it is about a foot tall. Your seedling's growing tip is holding 2 hormones in place, and those hormones only want one thing: height. Pinch that tip off, and the hormones drop down to the leaf joints below it. The plant answers back with side branches instead of one tall stem reaching for the sky. This is the pinch I tell every beginner not to skip. More branches now means more places for flowers later in the season. Skip this one if you are growing bell, poblano, or cubanelle. Cutting the tip on a big fruited pepper can slow it down instead of helping it. 1 pinch now, 10 fruiting branches later. Number 2. The first bloom sacrifice. Pull off the first flower on purpose. Your pepper plant just gave you its first flower. Pull it off. You see the first yellow-white bloom on your pepper plant, the one you have been waiting 3 weeks for. You pinch it off anyway. Nobody tells you this part when they say go ahead and prune. Losing that flower feels like losing a fruit. It is not. It is an investment. A young pepper plant only has so much energy to spend. Force it to feed a fruit this early, and the root system and the main stem both grow slower for the rest of the season. Skip that first flower, and the plant spends those same weeks building a stronger frame, one that can carry a full season of fruit later. This one flipped how I look at a plant's first flower. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension actually tested this. Taking off that first bloom does not hurt your final yield, and plants that build more structure before fruiting often end up producing more overall. Timing matters here. This works across bell, jalapeno, habanero, and every common pepper you are growing, zone 5 through 9. Only pull blooms in the first 2 to 3 weeks after you set the plant in the ground. Pull them later in the season, and you are actually cutting into your harvest, not helping it. That flower was never the harvest. It was a test. Number 3. The eggplant sucker sweep, the growth that quietly steals your harvest. Every 7 to 10 days, your eggplant grows something it does not need. Leave it there, and it quietly steals from every fruit on the plant. An old gardener I know, a friend who ran a small market garden on the same acre for 30 years, taught me to check my eggplant suckers on trash day. Your backyard does not need his whole system, it just needs his one rule. This is the piece that separates a bushy plant from a productive one. A sucker is the extra shoot that pops up in the Y joint where a branch meets the main stem. It carries leaves. It rarely carries a fruit worth keeping. What it does carry is a claim on water and light that your real fruiting branches need more. Eggplant grows fast once the weather warms up. You can walk away for a week and come back to a noticeably bigger plant, suckers included. Every one of those suckers pulls from the same pool of energy as the leaders you actually chose to keep. Check the plant. Find the sucker, cut it clean at the joint with sharp shears, and move on. 2 minutes, once a week, for the whole season. Once you see that, the fix takes 2 minutes a week and never grows into a bigger job. This one is not worth the effort on compact, bush-type eggplant like patio baby. Those plants stay small enough that a stray sucker never really costs you anything. Same day every week. That is the whole system. Number 4. The Y-node leader cut, the fork almost nobody looks at. There is a fork in your plant's stem that decides everything after it, and almost nobody looks at it on purpose. Most people stop reading right before this detail. Every pepper and eggplant plant eventually splits into a Y, one main stem branching into 2 or more. Below that fork is where the plant stores energy and builds roots. Above it is where the branching and the fruit happen. On peppers, the plant makes this split on its own. You just need to know where it happened so you can prune cleanly around it instead of guessing. On eggplant, you get to choose. Pick 3 to 4 of the strongest, most outward-facing branches coming off that first Y and keep them as your leaders. Cut the rest. If you have never looked at where your eggplant stem first splits in 2, that is the first thing to find before you cut anything else. A lot of guides will tell you that pruning eggplant down to 3 or 4 leaders boosts your yield by a fixed percentage, like it is settled science. The larger UNH extension trial put pruned plants beside unpruned ones, and the pruned plants did not clearly beat them. So use 3 or 4 leaders when you want a cleaner plant, not because you expect a guaranteed yield bump. Plenty of market gardeners still do it this way and swear by it. Try it on a full-sized variety like Black Beauty. A compact type like Fairy Tale barely needs it. Treat this as a structural choice you are making on purpose, not a guaranteed yield boost. The fork in the stem is the fork in the harvest. But the cut coming up in a few minutes is the one that sounds backwards. Cutting flowers on purpose. Stick around for that one. Number 5. The undercarriage clear. Dirt on a leaf is disease with a head start. Every leaf touching the soil on your pepper or eggplant plant is an open invitation to disease. You crouch down to check your eggplant and see 3 lower leaves flat on the dirt, damp from last night's watering. Here's where most pruning guides go quiet. Everyone talks about spacing and sunlight. Nobody talks about the 6 to 8 inches closest to the dirt. Every time you water or the rain comes down, soil splashes up onto whatever leaf sits closest to the ground. That splash carries fungus spores and bacteria with it, the same stuff behind leaf spot and stem rot. Those spores do not need much of an opening. One damp leaf touching dirt for a few days is enough for a problem to take hold and start climbing up the plant. Your lowest leaves are already the least useful ones on the plant anyway. Everything growing above them is stealing their sun, so you are not losing much by taking them off. This is the cut I never skip, rain or not. Clear out anything touching or hanging within 6 to 8 inches of the ground. Do this on both peppers and eggplant. Check again every 2 weeks once your season turns rainy. Skip this one if your plants sit up in tall containers or on a trellis where the lowest leaves never actually reach the dirt. Dirt on a leaf is disease with a head start. Number 6. The sun on fruit cut. Give the fruit the sun, not the plant. A pepper sitting in shade behind 3 leaves is not ripening. It is waiting. That pepper you keep checking every morning, still green after 3 weeks? Move the leaf above it and look again tomorrow. This is the part every Shape Your Plant guide skips over. Everyone prunes for the shape of the whole plant. The real decision happens fruit by fruit, 1 leaf at a time. The red, yellow, or purple color on a ripening pepper or eggplant does not show up just because the calendar says it should. Sunlight finishes that color. A fruit stuck behind a canopy of leaves sits there green and stubborn while the rest of the plant moves on without it. You water it, you feed it, and it still will not turn. The part most people miss is not the canopy. It is the leaf sitting over the fruit. Cut the one leaf sitting directly above a fruit that has already reached full size. Leave the leaves protecting young green fruit alone. Those still need some cover. One leaf. That is the whole move. If you garden in extreme heat, like the desert Southwest with temperatures past 95 degrees for weeks, stripping every bit of shade can scald the exposed skin. Cut just enough to let light in. Do not go bare. Give the fruit the sun, not the whole plant. Number 7. The small fruit bush trim. Same cut, two opposite results. Do this to a jalapeno and it thanks you with double the branches. Do it to a bell pepper and you might slow it down. A grower I know runs both jalapeno and bell pepper rows side by side. Same soil, same water. Only difference? How often the pruners come out. The jalapeno row gets topped every month. The bell row gets touched once. Ever. The guides that tell you to top your plants never mention this split. Not every pepper reacts to a topping cut the same way, and treating them all the same is where people lose fruit without knowing why. Pinch the top off a small fruited pepper and it stops racing upward. New side branches start taking over. Bell peppers, poblano, and cubanelle work differently. They pour their energy into fewer, bigger fruit instead of a busy tangle of branches, and cutting the tip over and over just slows that investment down. Some university trials on bell peppers found the opposite effect entirely. Repeated topping actually pulled yield down instead of raising it. Nothing like what happens on the small fruited side. This is the rule I hand every beginner who asks about topping twice. This holds across zone 5 through 9. For small fruited peppers, wait 3 to 4 weeks, then top again if the plant is still pushing hard. For the big fruited group, stop after that first pinch and never come back to it. If you are growing a newer hybrid and are not sure which camp it falls into, watch how the plant responds to the first cut before you make a second one. Same pruners, two completely different plants underneath. Next up is the cut most guides don't even mention. It is the one that decides whether your last 3 weeks of the season actually count. Number 8. The terminal cut. The cut that kills flowers to save the harvest. This is the cut that kills flowers on purpose, and it's the one that saves the entire harvest. This one changed how I think about every flower my plants ever gave me. Everyone assumes more flowers means more hope for more fruit. Near the end of the season, that assumption is exactly backwards. About 3 to 4 weeks before your area's average first frost date, you cut off every new flower, every fresh bud, and any fruit still too small to ripen in time. At the same time, pinch the growing tip on every branch that is still stretching out. You are stopping new growth completely, on purpose, all at once. Your plant has no idea how close frost actually is. Your plant does not know frost is 3 weeks away. It keeps opening flowers until cold shuts it down. Those late flowers still pull sugar from fruit that is already close to finished. That is the trade. Gardeners have been doing some version of this for decades, long before anyone wrote it down in a guide. Cross this line and you either finish the season strong or watch it slip away. The first year I grew peppers, I let them flower right to the end. One cold night wiped out a whole wave of fruit that had been sizing up nicely. That one hurt. 3 weeks of earlier pruning could have saved it. Applies to every pepper and eggplant variety you are growing, and it matters most in zone 5 through 7, where the season is shorter and frost shows up early. If you garden in the south, zone 8 or 9, your season runs longer. You can push this cut later, or split it across a couple of real cold forecasts instead of locking yourself into 3 to 4 weeks like gardeners further north. Every flower you leave on that plant after this point is a flower stealing from a fruit that could have made it. If this level of detail on pruning, not just trim your peppers but exactly where and when, is what you have been looking for, subscribe and hit the bell. Every video, same level of specific. Number 9. The second wave snip, when the plant tries to undo cut 8. A few days after the terminal cut, your plant tries to undo everything you just did. If you did the terminal cut last week and you're seeing a fresh bud poking out today, that's not a bonus. Cut it. Most people think the terminal cut is a one-and-done job. It is not. Within a week or two of that cut, the plant usually pushes out a few new buds, right where you just told it to stop. Keep it simple. That is not a sign you cut wrong. Plants push new growth back at a cut almost automatically. Catch it and cut it again, every time, or the plant slides right back into the exact problem the terminal cut just solved. Once you see that, the rest makes sense. The terminal cut was never a single afternoon job. It is the start of a short cleanup window. Check the plant every 3 to 4 days for the 2 weeks right after the terminal cut. Any new bud, any new flower, any fresh growing tip trying to stretch out again. Cut it the moment you spot it. If your local forecast pushes the real frost back 6 weeks or more, you can ease off and let the plant push one more flush of fruit. Go by the actual forecast for your area, not just the average frost date on a chart. The cut isn't done until the plant agrees with you. Number 10. The Frost Eve Branch Cut, the last cut before frost wins. If frost shows up earlier than the forecast promised, there is one last cut that saves everything still hanging on the plant. You check the forecast on your phone Tuesday night, and the frost warning was not there yesterday. Here's where most frost advice goes vague. Everyone tells you to cover your plants and hope for the best. Nobody tells you what to do once the cold beats the forecast by a day or two and there is no time left to protect anything still standing in the ground. When a frost warning lands 24 to 48 hours out, stop trying to save the whole plant. Pick 2 or 3 branches carrying the most green or near-ripe fruit. Cut them off entirely, close to where the branch meets the main stem, and carry them inside. A pepper or eggplant that has already reached close to full size does not stop ripening just because it left the plant. It works the same way a green tomato finishes turning red on your kitchen counter. You are buying time. What it needs now is time, not sunlight, and not the roots it just lost. Cutting the whole branch instead of pulling off single fruits matters here. The branch still holds sugar the fruit can keep drawing on while it finishes. Set the branches in a cool, dry spot indoors, away from direct sun. No grow light required. A woman wrote to me last year after frost came 2 weeks early. She cut the fruiting eggplant branches that evening and carried them into her garage. Most of the fruit finished there, not all of it, but close. If a fruit is still under a third of its full-grown size, skip it. It will not ripen into anything worth eating, indoors or out. Save this cut for branches already carrying fruit close to its final size. The frost doesn't ask permission, neither should you. 10 cuts. Not one of them about watering more or buying anything. Every single one pointed the plant's energy somewhere better. More branches, cleaner stems, away from the dirt. Fruit that was already there instead of flowers that never had a shot. If you garden in a long warm season, a light side dress after the terminal cut can support fruit already on the plant. In shorter northern seasons, skip it. At that point, the calendar is the limit. Tomorrow morning, check how close you are to your first frost. If you are inside that 3 to 4 week window, pick 1 pepper or eggplant and cut every new bud. If frost is still months out, leave the flowers alone for now. That plant just stopped growing sideways and started finishing what it already has. The frost doesn't care how green your thumb is. It only cares what's already ripe when it gets there.